Hello and welcome to NoCB Cast. This is episode 68.6.
Oh,
Does
yeah.
anybody guess what we're doing here? For the week of the 12th of May, 2021. I am Leanna. I am your host. We're here with our really cool panel, including Lambert.
Hello there.
And including Father Loris.
Sup?
And our special guest this week, Snowlet, the developer of the Bronze Age mod for Imperator Rome.
Hello there.
And
Hey, that's my thing.
No, it's not. It's,
Oh, god damn it.
Star Wars is for everyone.
You can't just hoard the hello there's. Yeah.
He is a bold one.
Oh, yeah, indeed. Rose is out today because we had to push the stream back by an hour, and she also had to take Rosebud to a doctor's appointment today, so she'll be back next week. We have quite a bit of grand strategy news to go through, starting out with the announcement of the Egyptians for the contemporary era in humankind. Which, I mean, so far the leak, everything that we saw in that leak has been correct, so this is more evidence that, yeah, it was probably legit. They get free officers as their emblematic unit and an archaeological dig as their emblematic district. Which, I don't know, have the Egyptians actually done a lot of archaeology of their own? Or is it
Yes. No, in a, like,
people coming in and... Okay.
In a place
We gave them access to our own archaeological digs, and then they've just been taking over.
Okay, well, that's... I'd be curious if that interacts, because like one of the cool things in Civ 6 was that the archaeology sites would like pop up based on where cool stuff actually happened in earlier eras. I wonder if they'll have something similar where like...
Yeah.
Because it'd be weird if you could just plop an archaeological dig in like land that has been uninhabited since the beginning of time.
I mean,
so,
to be fair, that's what they do in Egypt, and it works for them. So
There's actually some very recent news regarding like Egypt and archaeology. There's a new discovery in Luxor from, is it April today? No, it's May. Literally last month. They found the lost golden city in Luxor, which I mean,
really?
that's pretty cool. A 3,000-year-old city that was lost to the sands of Egypt. It's been hailed as one of the most important archaeological finds since Tutankhamun's tomb.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
so
kind of cool.
That is really cool. Yeah.
yeah,
I like
and more
it.
importantly, like a few years ago, they found the Black Sarcophagus that was filled with the
Plagues.
Elixir of Life. You know?
That works too.
Yeah. Did you hear about this one?
I hadn't actually.
No. Okay, so he found a Black Sarcophagus, and it was filled with like this black liquid, and there was a petition online to try and get that to be someone to drink the black liquid.
Oh my God.
The elixir of death.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like-
you'd probably be dead very shortly after.
Didn't like Victorian aristocrats used to eat mummies and stuff? Like,
Yeah.
that was a thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was
I
a
think
whole
we've talked
thing.
about this previously.
Yeah. Rich
It was
Raphael,
honestly
yeah.
probably like a couple of them, and it became big news, and then it's like, oh yeah, all of the aristocrats ate mummies. Probably wasn't that popular, and we probably thought they were crazy at the time as well.
Well,
Yeah.
fans of the show already know that pre-Raphaelite art is basically all painted in mummies. So I think we mentioned that a lot of times on the show already.
Yeah.
Mummy Brown.
Yeah, I'll be really interested to see how some of these contemporary era units play out, because it's not extremely obvious like what their combat role would be, I guess, but
Definitely theft of a canal.
yeah, that should be Egypt's emblematic unit. Is the what was that boat called? The
Yeah, the
Ever Given, yeah.
Ever
Yeah.
Given, that's it.
You can block other people's canals. Oh, there's one thing I forgot to add to the docket here. Let me pull that up real quick. Yeah, we do talk about Total War sometimes on this show, and we also got a new trailer for Total War Warhammer 3.
The first trailer. No, wait, no, second.
The first gameplay one.
Yeah, the first in-engine trailer. So let's take a look at that really quick.
they're not getting sound from the trailer.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do... On this setup, I don't know if I can do Discord sound and sound from Chrome. Because for
Just
some
put
reason...
your headphones next to your microphone.
They're using different audio devices, but if you
could just do an impression of all the sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to get cut out in the final podcast version anyway. So, if you want to know more about Total War Warhammer 3 and you're listening to this on SoundCloud on the 13th or later, hop on over to IGN. Look for some familiar names, maybe. Yeah,
is this insider trading? No.
No.
I don't know.
Totally legit.
Yeah.
Not a problem with it.
Yeah, there's gonna be some Warhammer stuff coming up that's kind of cool. Got some corn units.
Yeah. See, I'm more looking forward to seeing the Nurgle stuff, and I'm also looking forward to seeing the Slaanesh stuff. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, I'm a Slaanesh.
It's going to be very
sure.
difficult to dance around Slaanesh. Like, what do you really do with Slaanesh?
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
I think this is just a guess. That they're going to release that as a separate DLC to get around the age rating problems.
I was
That's
actually
a bloody
thinking
good
that,
idea.
like, because they do the blood and gore as a separate DLC for the same reason, to get around like content restrictions in like countries that will like ban your whole game, like Australia.
That's right. Yeah.
If they find it objectionable. So yeah, they could do a blood and gore pack, and then for Slaanesh they could do a titty pack. You know,
Exactly.
But how do you get Slaanesh in the game? Like, because even if you don't own the DLC, you can still fight against those units.
They'll just
The
be
DLC is
censored.
basically, here, you can play as them now.
They'll just make them smooth, and then like either like modders will fix it regardless.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So yeah.
Probably they'll have all the demonettes wearing bras,
Yeah.
Yes.
and then if you buy the DLC, they lose them.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we won't be able to stream it probably with that DLC turned on anyway.
Well, the thing about the
yeah.
Slaaneshi titties anyway is they don't have nipples; they have eyes half the time instead of nipples.
That's true.
Yeah, not the models. I
What's
mean,
wrong with that?
the eyes are more cinch. Slaanesh doesn't really do eyes.
No, I'm pretty sure like demonettes have like lots of eyes all over their tits. I'm pretty sure.
Here, let's
from
pull up
my extensive research,
Demonette
Lambert.
tits.
let's pull up a reference image and get the podcast channel a community strike. How about that?
Oh, I was literally Googling them.
I mean, you can
No,
do...
they're just straight nips.
It's not my business what you do in your own time, but let's talk about Crusader Kings for a little bit. So this is about the Azure patch that's coming out this summer. Some really, really good quality of life changes. Like these are relatively small changes, but things I've been wanting for a long time. You can raise only men at arms now, which will be really nice. They're finally adding game rule presets, which I've wanted for a long time because I'm very particular about my game rules, and I don't like having to set them manually every time I start a new game.
To stop the ball to go.
But then to go even a step further to something that, maybe CK2 did eventually add this. They did actually. Character search presets.
Yeah.
So you can make a filter that's just like a marriage candidate, or like high for people with like really high skills that you can invite to your court. That's going to be really nice.
No, clearly what you need is a filter to only invite people to your court called Eudokia. That's all you need. The name preset is the meta.
Yeah, of course. So, pretty small changes, but I think very impactful and very welcome.
Yeah.
The people that are like blowing up my like Curious Cat right now about don't forget the Victoria 3 wish list segment. It is on the docket. It's not going to be this episode, but it is on the docket. So yeah, we will definitely do a Victoria 3 wish list episode at some point.
The game?
Huh?
It's my wish list for Victoria 3 the game.
Oh yeah, please exist. Yeah. That's
I'd settle for existence.
Yeah. Yeah. So CK3, it feels like a lot of the dev diaries lately have been pretty small stuff. But I'm assuming that's probably because they're saving the bigger news items for the convention. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens. Yeah. So
unless that's the big DLC is going to be presets. The presets DLC. We're adding presets to everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Just you can save presets for anything in the game. Yeah. No, I think they already said that the summer patch, the free patch, is not even related to the next DLC. This is like a smaller thing that's coming out before the DLC. So they're kind of following sort of the EU4 model of having a big free patch in between each DLC patch, sort of. Which, speaking of EU4, we did finally get a post from Johan about Leviathan that was not deleted, where he said, so Leviathan was one of the worst releases we've had and follows a long trail of low-quality releases, starting back with Golden Century for EU4, which was another DLC not a lot of people liked. I don't feel like Emperor was that bad on launch, honestly.
No, me neither.
Like, I know there were some bugs definitely that bothered a small group of people a lot and a large group of people a little bit.
Yes.
It's sort of how I would describe it.
And the multiplayer community hated the Merc change.
Yeah.
But it's really grown on me, the mercenary stuff.
It's actually gone. I liked it at the start, and now I don't.
Oh, really?
I also don't like what it was like before. So I'm in the middle ground of you're both wrong, they're both shit. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I reckon.
In the grand scope of Paradox patches, I'd say Emperor was really not that bad. I didn't even.
It was
notice.
an uptick.
I didn't notice a lot of the stuff that was wrong with it, like the AI debt spiral thing. Like I barely noticed that was happening. It wasn't like it made the AI completely unable to fight you. So yeah,
I feel like Rule Britannia and Dharma were pretty decent as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Golden Century, it was. I like flagships. Everything else, you just pass. All of the rest of it was meh.
I mean, I don't mind Golden Century because it was like it's focused on Spain, you know.
Yeah,
it's like people didn't like.
I mean, even
Russia
when I played Spain, I'd never used the triple button of whatever you could do with it. You know, in each province, you could click a button to say if it was controlled by this group of Jesuits or whatever. I never clicked them because it was bad. It was objectively worse to click the buttons than to just leave them alone.
Especially the Jesuits played such an interesting role in the colonization of the Americas that I feel like they deserved a more interesting mechanic than that.
They played a huge role in relations in the Far East too, in Japan and China. Huge.
So to continue this, Johan said, I should have delayed the start of the development of Leviathan until we had all the resources that were needed, and they had time to properly onboard on the project. We should have announced a break in development for EU4 after the Emperor release, until we had a team ready to start designing and working in early 2021. We are partly changing our plans for the year. We had originally planned to fix all legacy bugs before we stop developing further expansions for EU4. Now we're accelerating these plans and also making sure the community will be getting them frequently, which he later clarifies this, but what I'm pretty sure he's actually saying is that they were planning to delay the legacy bug fixes to like after the last DLC came out, and then they were going to spend some time fixing legacy bugs. And now the plan is to accelerate the fixing of those legacy bugs and push any future DLCs out a little bit. So that was the way that was worded was a little bit confusing, but he clarified it further down. 1.3.1 patch.
Yeah, like Stellaris did basically had a bit of a hiatus on DLC as well. They fixed the performance issues. It's worked out in the end. So it's pretty good.
Yeah. 1.31.3 is actually out. I haven't had a time to play it yet, but it sounds like they've fixed the last few things that I would consider to be kind of campaign ruining bugs, at least going by the patch notes. I don't know if it introduces new bugs like 1.31.1 did, so I'll have to actually test it before I can tell everyone it is now safe to turn off the beta branch. This is, of course, a rough first expansion for the team in the studio, he says, but it's far from the end. We've recruited a set of great individuals with a huge passion for the game to form Paradox Tinto, giving us a bright future for Europa Universalis. So it sounds like they're on the right track. You know, even if it was just like all bug fixing patches for the rest of 2021, I think I'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
It's in a pretty good place content wise. There's still a few things on my wish list, but the biggest thing on my wish list is EU5. So if they were like,
same.
Leviathan was the last DLC, I'd be like, great. Go work on EU5. Like fix some of the bigger bugs, and then put the rest of your time into EU5 because I really want to see EU5.
Oh, you might be working on it already. You know, like they probably are, to be honest. Like, like they don't want to do a Banner Lords where they announce the game as soon as they start development of it, and then everyone's like, "Oh, when's it coming out?" It's in 4 years.
I would hope not. Anyway, the patch. These are the patch notes. They fixed the bug where you couldn't get the vassalization war goal with a lot of the CBs that should have allowed you to do it, which was what ended my previous campaign that I was doing in 1.31.2. So, plus a lot of the interface stuff has been changed, and they've incorporated a lot of changes to New Zealand based on what some Maori forum members actually suggested in a very good thread. They redrew provinces on the southern island. They changed around the trade goods. They spread out the development a little bit more, so it's not just flat development across the entire North Island. Changed some colors, changed some tag names. So yeah, I'm looking forward to trying New Zealand again now that it's in a little bit of a better shape. So yeah. I'll be sure check out my Twitter if you're curious, because I'll probably fire it up at some point today after the podcast and see if I run into any further like game breaking bugs. Well, hopefully not. Hoi 4 last week, from what I understand from editing, you guys kind of skimmed over this dev diary because
I had a bit of a brain fart. Completely forgot to read it before the thing. I've had an opportunity in the week.
Missed it entirely.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, basically, the big takeaway from it is that, the 40-20 with meta is gone. Being killed, which you guys did bring up. So I think you actually covered it pretty well overall.
I covered it as well last week as I'm going to this week.
So I mean, RIP to every division design tutorial ever, including my own.
There's also another aspect to it, which we didn't cover at all last week, which was piercing changes. So previously, if you beat their piercing number, say if you had a tank that had a certain amount of armor and you beat their piercing, then that armor would be completely useless. But now it's more scaled, which I would say is either a buff to tanks in general, or maybe it certainly makes anti-tank stuff a lot more valuable.
Yeah, also, I think it's a buff to anti-tank, honestly, because it used to be that if you couldn't beat their piercing, you might as well not bring any anti-tank at all.
Yeah.
So I would make these like really, really dedicated
tank busters. That's what
tank buster, basically that just like stacked the best possible piercing value. But now it's like, as long as you get up to 75% of the armor value in piercing, you will get some sort of effectiveness out of it, between half damage to normal damage, it says. So at 75%, if your piercing is 75% of the enemy's armor, you will do half damage. and then going up to 1.0 would be full damage. So yeah, that's how I understand it anyway. So yeah, and then
I think that's it.
Changes to reliability I really like, because I like to design my tanks specifically for reliability. And reliability is going to matter even more now to kind of combat the fact that with the tank designer, a lot of the testers were apparently making these just ridiculous rolling fortresses that had shit reliability, and it was worth it, and they're making it less worth it to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Also,
which is a shame, because I was kind of hoping, maybe making like Dick Dastardly and his flying machines, but with tanks instead,
Oh yeah.
That's
That'd be amazing.
just sort of these weird machines, just wacky racers going into fucking Moscow.
It eventually turns into what's that movie where like London is like a giant tank and it's going around eating all the
Mortal Empires.
Mortal Engines.
Mortal Engines, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, eventually.
God, that's a dumb movie.
That's it.
It is, but it's also rad.
It is.
It focused too much on inside the cities instead of like the cities on wheels, and then they could fight other cities. I want to see more of that, not this personal drama bullshit between a fucking robot for some.
No, I agree. I wanted to see more cities fighting each other.
I wanted to be basically Mad Max, but with big cities.
with cities. I like it.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
The other thing about this that I don't know if this will mean as much to the general listener of this podcast as it does to me, but Studio Gold, which is now responsible for Hearts of Iron and presumably some unannounced project, is now being led by Thomas, who you might know as Besukov on the forums, who is one of my favorite people at PDS, and he was like actively involved in EU4 development when I first started covering the studio, and he's just been like hiding out in the background somewhere, like doing manager shit since then. So I'm glad that he's a little bit more directly involved in development again, because a lot of EU4, the initial release of EU4 was his stuff, and I think he generally does a pretty good job of so yeah. This week's Hoi4 Dev Diary, though, is about the Baltic countries. For the most part. First of two Dev Diaries about the Baltic countries. They're going to share like an industrial path, and then they each have their own political path. We got to see the communist branch today, which allows you to do fun things like demand. You can ally with the Soviets to basically reform the Lithuania, Belarus, Soviet Republic. If you want to do that without allying with the Soviets, you're going to have to go to war, which I don't necessarily like your chances there, but hey, I'm sure you could pull it off. Yeah.
Just get them when we've just purged. Bumble in.
And you can eventually form the Baltic Socialist Republic too if you unite the Baltics and Belarus. Then probably the bigger thing here is that they've really taken some feedback into account from the Poland Dev Diaries, which
no feedback from us. Let's claim credit for this.
And us.
I'm not going to take any credit from that.
If you go back, the Poland Dev Diaries still have mostly negative reactions on them. They got a lot of the little red X's, so they did add the Habsburg candidate as another possible king you can get for Poland, which allows you to form a union with Czechoslovakia, and I think you can manipulate Hungary to also accept a Habsburg, and then there's all this fun stuff you can do with that.
Yep.
And they got rid of the off-map nuclear reactor.
Yes, which is the big thing, right? Which is the thing we were talking about. Yeah.
Pretty fucking silly, to be honest. I'm glad that they got rid of that. So apparently they talked to some Polish community members to help kind of guide these changes, and I think that's always good if you can talk to somebody who's actually from the country you're trying to portray. Just like the New Zealand changes in EU4 in this most recent patch.
Yep.
It's nice to have that perspective. So yeah.
There's a teaser at the end too of next week.
I don't know who this is.
No, this is my guess.
from
I've just linked it over on Discord. That's my best guess. It's quite hard because often those hats are pretty ubiquitous. But I think it's on theme.
Wilhelm Karl Duke, or Prince Wilhelm of Urach, Count of Württemberg.
Yeah, he was elected King of Lithuania.
Was a German prince who was elected in June 1918 as King of Lithuania with the regnal name Mindaugas II. Interesting. Okay.
So
I think you're spot on purely because where the feathers are landing. You see that little V-looking one? That's also in the art piece. Honestly, I think you're actually spot on, and this is literally the hat that art was based on.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like this fella. I think a lot of Greeks use these hats too.
Well, they did say the next dev diary is going to be about the ahistorical options for the Baltic countries, so that would make sense.
Yeah, that'll be Lithuania, I bet.
Yeah. This still has 35 dislikes on it, which is, I'm like wondering what they're nitpicking about now, but I don't really want to.
No, I can't think of anything, to be honest. Like,
yeah, I mean, it might just be that they're unhappy with the portrayal of the Baltic alliance with the Soviet Union. Might be a little bit controversial, I know.
Hoi fans love a good whinge.
And also, I guess we should also bring up the new icons too. There's been a bit of a rehaul of Polish icons and they look amazing. That's
yeah, for sure.
Which is such a relief. I mean, like, these actually look gorgeous.
These do look really good, and they're like they seem to take the feedback into account that we've brought up a couple times that some of the DLC icons don't look in keeping with like the color space of Hearts of Iron 4. Yep. These ones definitely are in that kind of sort of desaturated color space.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I think it's only Portugal I've ever had any problems with. But like, I think this nailed it. This is really perfect.
Yeah, these are great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really works.
Yeah. So, one of my favorite runs of Hearts of Iron 4 was actually as Estonia. So, where I basically held back the entire Soviet army just by using the terrain of Estonia. So I'll be curious to see if it's
the Finland strategy then.
Even better to do. Yeah, basically. Yeah. Because there's only like 2 or 3 provinces that they can even come in through as long as they don't take Latvia. So like as long as Latvia remains independent, it's actually not that impossible to hold off the USSR.
So what you need to do is build a line of fortifications along your border with the USSR, but completely ignore the one with Latvia, because if you did build them down there, then you may piss off the Latvians, and then when they invade through Latvia and come into you, then you have to have a whole few decades of people blaming your pseudo Maginot Line as a point of weakness instead of actually being a pretty smart idea.
I see what you did there. You did there.
Yeah. No.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Also, this is coming up to be quite a hefty DLC now. Like we're going to get a Russian rework, obviously. I mean, like that's a given.
It seems likely. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got choo-choo trains, which is very important. Estonia's quite. The Baltic countries have got quite a hefty focus trees. Poland's got quite a hefty focus tree. I assume Finland's going to get one. Maybe
that would be a lot. That would be a lot of focus trees for one DLC, but maybe, yeah. Well, because they're reworking Poland. They're probably going to rework the USSR. I mean, that seems like almost a given. Yeah. And then we're getting Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. So yeah, they could probably fit Finland in there. That doesn't seem that unlikely, unless they're saving Finland for like the Nordic DLC.
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Have they confirmed that the choo-choo trains are going to go up and down the tracks yet?
I don't know. I don't know if we've seen actual moving choo-choo trains visually on the map yet.
Nah, okay, well, 0 out of 10.
Well, maybe this will meet your approval slightly better. We're also getting some more balancing changes in the Stellaris 3.0.3 patch. I feel like I'm too dumb. Like, I've played a lot of Stellaris this patch, but I feel like I don't actually understand what a lot of these changes actually do.
Yeah, so, well, obviously, Clarks are getting a boost buff now.
Right.
Clark jobs were shit.
Fewer jobs, but they do more per job. Yeah.
So your pops are a bit more valuable being clerks, whereas before they kind of felt they were doing like half a job. I don't quite understand if it's a buff or if it's a decrease, but the food processing facilities now give you extra food per job rather than a percentage increase. Right. So
that's the thing where I'm like, I don't actually know how that plays out at scale. Yeah. Like, tell me, am I going to have more food now or less food? I don't know.
I refuse to do the maths on this, right? And I'm sure this is incredibly simple arithmetic, but I ain't gonna be converting. What was it, 15% to?
I mean, I could fire up Stellaris. Like, how much food does a food producer normally produce? Because if it's being increased by a flat number of 2,
how much food does a food producer produce when a food producer does produce food?
Okay, yeah, so that's like a 33% increase. So that seems like a buff.
That is.
It feels like flat numbers are buffs in the early game. If you still have percentages in the late game, then flat numbers are big buffs.
Oh, that's right. Because that wouldn't. Yeah, that maybe wouldn't be as powerful if you stacked a bunch of other percentage modifiers on it. I don't know, but
the alloy one is certainly a buff because it just makes your things more efficient, right?
Yeah, well, and it I think it's going to eat more minerals now, but it's like I always have way too many minerals. Like I can never figure out what to do with all my minerals in like the mid and late game. So
same. I never find myself ever having a mining planet.
Throwing up more and more forge worlds just to have something to do with my minerals. And they're also making it so I might have scrolled past it. Civilian fabricators and alloy refineries aren't mutually exclusive anymore. Mm-hmm. You can have both on any planet, even if it's not an ecumenopolis. AI should be better with their economy, which I've noticed the AI seems really weak in this patch. Like, most of the galaxy will be pathetic to me by like the time the end game crisis shows up.
Apart from that one neighbor.
Yeah.
The xenophobic fanatic militarist. That guy. Right. That guy's a dick, and he's strong.
Of course. And then we're getting game options for growth scaling. And also the logistic growth ceiling, which is basically when the diminishing returns thing kicks in. So that's great. People who care more about performance can turn it down. People who want more realism can leave it cranked up. I think that's an excellent way to solve that dilemma. I'll probably end up setting it somewhere in the middle, but
I'll leave it default.
Of course. Well, our main topic this week, and the reason we brought Snowlet here, sorry you've been quiet this whole time, is so last week they announced an indefinite development pause, as you may have heard, for Imperator Rome. The way they phrased it still seems like, we want to get a new team together eventually and work on it, but we're not sure if that's going to happen. Lambert seems pretty sure it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm pretty pessimistic in general.
Some people have dug up old tweets of mine that make me hope that they do eventually go back to it, because I did say if they don't do a timeline extension for Imperator Rome that I would eat a laurel wreath. So I might end up having to do that after all. I did not consider as a possible scenario that they would put the game indefinitely on pause. I was like, they'll do it eventually. They're going to extend the timeline eventually. Come on. But yeah, it seems like the modding community has really kind of stepped up to the plate lately. We're seeing a lot of interest in Imperator mods being sort of the de facto successor if we don't get any further official support for it down the line, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's not the best situation, but I like that all of this enthusiasm is kind of ignited now. So Snowlet, what is the mod you are working on currently, and how did you get started with it modding Imperator?
Now, I'm currently leading 2 modding projects, but the important one right now is the Invictus project, or Imperator Invictus. Yeah, it's our attempt to update the game while we wait for official updates. We've decided to integrate every flavor mod we found and enjoyed and just put them in one large package. And try to create a kind of HPM like the Viki 2 community has, or just a mod you can always have on. Yeah.
So what are some of the mods that you've integrated? Like what can people expect from this?
Now, there's a lot of stuff. To begin with, a mod that I personally very much enjoy was the Commander Kings mod, because I found it kind of silly. You can't lead a legion as a ruler, which, in my opinion, should have been in the base game. So we decided to add it. We also got plenty of flavor mods, one for Iberia, one for Ireland. We've got the mission sets and other stuff for Bactria. We've got a toponym rework so that the entire map gets localized if you usually conquer it as the Greeks. They get a lot of new Latin names. We've also patched a lot of base game bugs. We've really worked on that. And of course, some other mods like the Bloodlines mod, so you can actually strategically marry to stack all the bloodlines like you can in CK2 and CK3, of course. But there's plenty more stuff in the works, but we haven't released everything yet, as we are still working on it.
And I'll include, if you're listening to this on like SoundCloud or somewhere later, I'll include a link to that in the show description as well. I'm personally hoping for somebody to come along and do some more Germanic and Gaulish flavor. I was seething. I was actually seething editing last week's episode because all the stuff Lambert says he doesn't care about.
Sorry, I gotta go a second.
It's like the stuff I care about the most. It's like Gaul, Germania, and timeline extension. Like if I could throw my money on the table and be like, here you go, Paradox. Resume development on Imperator, but you have to do the next 3 expansions have to be exactly what I say they are. Be a Gaul flavor pack, a timeline extension DLC, and then a Germania flavor pack. So some of us care about barbarians, okay?
I understand that. I'm just saying that in the grand scheme of things, you have a minority opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people play Greeks, to be honest.
Yeah. But it might be the minority, but it's also correct. So,
I mean, no, I would love to have all of those things except a timeline extension. I don't want that. I'd love to have more flavor for all of the parts of the world. And I guess that's what's coming in Invictus. Yeah. So, huzzah. But I mean, I just don't see the need for a timeline extension.
Well, we can extend it with a few years, but we can't go past 1 BC because then you run into the Christianity problem.
Well, see, the way I would handle that is just it's a pop-up event and then it never really matters again. like if you ended the game before Constantine, you could probably just handle it with like occasional events, because it's not like it became a majority religion in, I don't know, when did Armenia convert to Christianity? That's the first time it would be like politically relevant.
I mean, even when Constantine converted, his most of the Roman Empire was still pagan. Right. Like he didn't convert to the majority. He was still very much a minority there.
So Armenia was the first state to adopt Christianity, and they didn't adopt it until 301. So I think you could get away with like, oh, you get an event about some guy named Jesus and your governor, blah, blah, blah. And then, I don't know, maybe eventually you'll get some events about mystery cults and like, the consequences
don't
of
want this.
persecutions or whatever, or you can choose
Yeah.
to persecute them or not. But yeah, I don't think.
All these
I don't
people
think-
are like graffitiing fish everywhere. It's
Yeah,
really inconvenient.
I really think if you picked my preferred end date for Imperator Rome, which would be the end of the Pax Romana, which is about 180 AD, you wouldn't really have to make Christianity a playable religion, and you wouldn't really have to model like any of the major Christian figures outside of maybe an event here and there. But
Yeah, but most people don't get that far. It's like in EO4, no one plays till 821.
Yeah.
I've played a lot of Imperator games where I felt like I wanted more time. Like I ran out of time.
That's because I mean,
to do what I wanted.
that's probably because you're bad.
Well, it's because I don't play like 100% optimally. Like I'm not
I don't
going
either.
for like the fastest possible conquest, but like yeah.
I don't play
Yeah.
optimally either. I've done a whole world conquest in 100 years, but I don't play optimally. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no.
Could have done it
I
in
mean,
50.
no, that would be my no. I mean, I know not everybody
Possible,
agrees
but
with
not by
me,
me.
but my number one request for an Imperator update would be a timeline extension. Yeah. So.
Well, you can have the flavor stuff with Invictus.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited to see where that project goes. I'm really excited to see what kind of support the community can put together, and if maybe like now that it's in the hands of the community, that weirdly might pump up the player numbers somewhat.
Yeah.
Because
I
it's
mean-
like, oh well, I wasn't really. I kind of dropped it after launch because it wasn't that great, but I don't want it to die. So let's go back and take another look.
I
Yeah.
think the comparisons with HPM is very, very good because HPM is pretty much essential to play Vicky now at this point, right? So maybe in a few years.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
it's
have a similar
not
sort of
it's
thing
not
with
100% essential, but it's definitely a much worse experience if you're
Mhm.
not using HPM. Like there's
Yeah.
stuff in HPM where it's like, yeah, I would not want to play the game without this anymore. Yeah. So
Snowlet, you're also the new lead dev on the Bronze Age mod as well. How did you come to get that role?
Well, so I looked in the workshop and I saw the Bronze Age hadn't been updated in a while. So as a little bit of a hobby, I took it up and saw what I could do. And eventually I realized I had almost everything inside the mod actually working. So I just asked for permission from Svanley and he said, yeah, sure, do it. And with a little bit more help from the mod co-op, I managed to publish it. And it works. Mostly.
I think there's, as we've tweeted out and before, the patch notes that you've got for the Bronze Age modders, I quite personally enjoy them very much because it recognizes the objective superiority of the British version of English over the American version of English.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Old English is superior to all of them before.
Well,
it
I mean,
was,
yeah, but
infected by Latin interlopers. No,
you find me a keyboard that has a Futhark on it, and I'm down. But like, I don't have that. Hell, I don't even have the Swedish characters that I need, which is annoying. but-
Which just to remind you, this is all part of my brand that I just hate everything Roman. I take no stance on like modern states. I just don't like that they brought all this Latin in because I hate the Romans. That's I know I've made some comments before that like upset some like French people on Twitter, and it's like, no, I really don't have a dog in that fight. Although you should all be speaking Gaulish, but that's fine.
I mean, during
in a
like the
just world.
Napoleonic era, the French very much pulled away from the idea of using Caesar and the Romans as their
Yeah.
idea of legitimacy, and like that's when a lot of the pro-Gallic art started being made,
There
like
is a
the
very
famous
nice,
one of I forgot his name.
Vercingetorix statue.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a very nice statue of him that was built during the Napoleonic era.
So
Yeah,
the modern French people should be totally down with your pro-Gallic views.
Yeah. We're gonna replace the entire education system with a reconstructed Gaulish. And
if there's anyone I'm going to be turning for to want to base my ideology stuff around, it's Napoleon. What a great guy! What a successful man he was.
Yeah.
Now I'm legit unhappy.
Like if Napoleon
Asshole.
likes, if he likes Gauls, I hate Gauls. That's what I'm going with.
I'm now less happy with Gauls than I was previously.
Yeah, I see.
But yeah, definitely check out some of the more ambitious mods for Imperator, some of the new mods that are starting to pop up around this time. And if you have a mod or if you're working on a mod for Imperator, we want to keep covering Imperator, and if there's not going to be any official news, we'd love to talk about your mod at some point. So
Lambert especially wants to.
Of course. I mean,
I'm on the same team. I don't want this game to die. I actually think that it's one of the better Paradox games at this point. So
is there a mod in the works that's China or anything?
Yeah. Is it Invecta or Gladio et Sale that has China already?
Yeah.
Gladio et Sale.
Yeah. You can play in China right now, mate.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
There's also Imperator Invictrix, Imperatrix Victoria, that one. That is basically Victoria 2 in the Imperator engine, which has got the whole world, which includes China, funnily enough, that you'll be able to play at some point when that mod has a publicly available release.
Okay.
But yes, you can of course play as China.
Sweet.
So the one other piece of news I definitely want to go over before we wrap up for today is we officially have an official date and time for our live episode that we're going to be doing during Paradox Con. Let me pull this up. NoCB podcast live. It's going to be May 22nd. And it is going to be at about what is that, like 12? It's like 12:50 a.m. British time, I think.
Yeah, the times are there on your screen.
Yeah, 7:50 p.m. EDT and 4:50 p.m. PDT if you're in the US. So yeah, it's gonna be late night if you're in Europe, just because they're putting together streaming content that runs basically 24 hours throughout the convention, and this was the slot that we were able to fit ourselves in here. We'll be talking about the big announcements from the show. We know there's going to be at least two big Paradox Development Studio announcements, so we'll be going over that for sure. And we would love if all of you would join us there.
If you're awake.
No. Even if you're not awake, you have to make yourself be awake. I don't care if you have stuff to do. Stay up late.
I'm gonna have to because I do anyway because I've got insomnia.
Okay,
but it's going to be at 2:50 a.m. for me is when we start.
It's a Saturday night. What else are you doing?
I'd be awake anyway.
There's still COVID.
I don't care if you've got an exam tomorrow or a driving test or something. You're staying up.
Who has a driving test on Sunday morning? I guess maybe you might have like church or something, but
if you're a vicar,
that's not an excuse. Your eternal soul is not an excuse to miss this podcast.
Exactly.
I'm just telling you right here and now.
If you are some kind of priest preparing mass for the next day, late night mass writing, no excuse. Yeah. You've got to tune in and just bodge for mass for next day, all right?
I mean, give everyone a day off. They won't have to come to church. That's a win-win.
Snowlet, where can people go to find your mods and anything else you've been working on?
Yeah, we'll post it on the forums. Every Monday we'll release a dev diary of our own to keep people informed about what we're working on.
Awesome. And I'll have all those links in the show notes as well. Lambert, what have you been up to?
Sleeping. Oh wait, no, I don't do that. I've been streaming quite a bit of this little game that you should have heard of called Imperator. I've been trying to finish off all of the achievements that I haven't got yet. Recently did Eumenes' Footsteps as Cappadocia, and currently I'm having literally my first ever playthrough as the Maurians, which is probably what I'm going to be streaming in a few hours' time. So I've been doing that. I also streamed some Warhammer 40k Battle Sector last night. Bit of early access there, which was fun.
Okay.
And yeah, I did quite a lot of streaming recently. It's pretty good.
Nice.
Also, Mondays I play D&D on the Component Cast Live Twitch channel, and I'm loving the shit out of that. It's great stuff. So
and you live tweet it for people who can't tune into the stream.
Oh no, that one's on. That's the other game that I'm in. I'm in two D&D games now.
Oh, wow.
Which, you know, the funniest thing about that is Paradox did their Grand Campaign, and during the Hearts of Iron thing, the two casters were my two DMs. It was great.
Wow.
Midgeman and Count Christo.
Nice.
So it was a bit weird, but yeah, it's fun. I like D&D a lot. It's great.
Loris, what have you been up to, and where can people find you?
I've just been drawing, basically. Yeah, basically drawing. I wanted to get a webcomic up by today, but I wasn't 100% happy with it. So it'll probably be tomorrow. But yeah, just drawing. Doing a little drawing. Find me at chapelcomic.com or Father Loris on Twitter or on Reddit. All the places. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good at self-promotion.
Nice. I mean, it's the
60
68.6th episode, and you're still this awkward at self-promotion. It's great. I love it.
Don't look it up. I'm so ashamed.
Yeah. I want you to say 5 nice things about yourself right now.
Oh man.
And we can critique how nice they actually are. And how truthful.
Yes. You will be graded on this, yes.
I described my appearance as gargolic, so I could ward away evil spirits.
No, that's pretty accurate, yep.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm Lord Sworn Order on Twitch. I did a little bit of Resident Evil Village.
Did you meet the tall lady yet?
I did.
She step on you.
The tall vampire lady. Yeah,
You've completed the game, man. That's it.
She did step on me, so yeah.
Great.
Why would you even keep playing past that point? Yeah. So.
Is there anything else to that game? Because I'm legit. That's the only thing good about it.
It's very good. It's very good. It's probably my second favorite Resident Evil game after Resident Evil 4. And it's very similar to it's very intentionally similar to Resident Evil 4 in a lot of ways. So
I don't think I've played any since like 1.
1 is good. Like the Resident Evil 1 remake is
no, not the remake
as well. Oh, you like the old PlayStation one.
Yeah, no, the original.
The Jill sandwich.
The Jill sandwich, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Barry.
I think that should be a staple. I mean, they should have had the giant vampire lady have awful voice acting. That's what they should have done.
Yeah. Resident Evil 8, very good. I strongly approve. I'm on my 3rd playthrough already. That's how much I like it.
Nice.
And there's stuff to do that like carries over, like New Game Plus style. So you can definitely play it over and over again. Similar to Resident Evil 4. Yeah.
One more thing we should plug. I mean, it's such a minor thing, but Endless Legend recently got a little update, which I've been playing a lot of.
Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah,
they've added like a canon map to it. It's very minor, but I don't know. I think people who are fans of the show might want to check that out.
Yeah, same developers as Humankind. So if you played the Humankind open devs and you enjoyed it, you'd probably like Endless Legend.
It's amazing that it's still getting updates. I mean, it's like 8 years old now. It's great.
Yeah,
that's amplitude for you.
So is EU4 is going to be 8 years old this year.
Yeah. I was recently alerted to the fact that my favorite movie of all time, A Knight's Tale, is 20 years old.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I refuse, sir.
No.
And everyone, I refuse. No.
Listen,
no.
Time is a lie. It's
I know the man who did all the camera work for A Knight's Tale.
Really?
Yeah, that's my claim to fame.
Nice.
There we are. He lives in. Well, I won't say that. That's
Yeah, I know,
weird, isn't it? He lives near me anyway.
I said, yeah. Troy tweeted it out, and I'm like, nah.
No,
Nah.
that's not
just
true.
nah.
That's not true. Yeah.
20 years old. Fucking hell.
The one that really got me lit recently was the EVE Online turned. I don't even want to remember what the milestone was.
It turned old.
2003. God. I was like in middle school when EVE Online came in. It doesn't seem like an old game to me. Like it seems like
honestly, no, definitely not.
Recent game. Like, yeah. So yeah, EVE Online is 18. Like EVE Online is legally an adult this year. That's just mind-boggling to me.
Still can't drink in America though.
You're now allowed to write fan fiction about EVE Online. Yeah.
Oh my god. As if people haven't been doing that already.
Yeah. Anyway, follow the podcast. We're NoCB Cast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Twitch, iTunes, Stitcher, all those good podcast places. We're really looking forward to the live show during PDXCon. So start stocking up on caffeine now if that's at a weird time for you. Because again, I've said you don't have any excuse.
You've got a week
surrounded by empty monster cans. Yeah, no, I'm good.
Snowlet, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'd be happy to talk to you again sometime about how the mods are coming along, and appreciate the community efforts to keep Imperator alive. Hashtag save Imperator. I don't know.
I mean, Imperator Invictus, Imperator undefeated. That's kind of literally what it means.
Yeah. No, I'm still holding out hope that they'll come back to it at some point. But
I am.
If not, mods. We'll see you guys back here next week at the regular time. We streamed an hour later than usual this week because of secret stuff that I can't talk about yet.
Hands-on gameplay demo of Victoria 3.
But we'll be back at the regular time next week, and that'll be our last pre-PDXCon episode. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.